this episode of Replay Game, the podcast where we look at tabletop role-playing games from every side of the table. I am Jess, and I am the currently disbarred rules lawyer who is in an era of life where she is too lazy to read rules and needs to get back into doing that. And I'm sorry to everybody who I've disappointed.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I'll be playing today.
I'm also playing. I just wanted to be honest with our audience. I'm sorry.
The Replay Game community forgives Jessica Chapet.
My audio is also bad right now, and I'm sorry about that. I can't do anything about it for a couple minutes. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm Emma, and I'll be playing today. I have read the rule book, but I wouldn't say that I'm a full paralegal this time, but I'm a little bit familiar.
Hello, readers, players, gamers. I'm Tori, and today I will be playing Mothership. And unfortunately, we're missing Anish today. Very sad. So just 3 players, and then, of course, the game master.
Which is me. Yay! Hello, this is Margot. I am going to game master this session of Mothership. And I guess as another person who's read the rule book, I will also be serving as a partner to our dear friend Emma.
What I will say is that I still, despite maybe not having been familiar with it, I've watched like some videos, and I also will be having my nose in the book the whole time instead of paying attention like I usually do. So I will still be like popping in with an actually. They just might be a little more
They
wrong
just will
sometimes.
Be wrong.
Yeah, which is okay, and everybody likes that when that happens.
That happened in another game, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's not, even when I read the rules,
Early
that
on.
shit happens. For people tuning in for the first time, this is the first of 3 parts that make up the structure of this podcast, the read portion. We won't just be reading, though. We'll be walking through the character creation process of an RPG that we've selected for this week, talking through the rules as we go. This will be followed by later episodes where we play through a brief game using these characters and then reflect on the system. Feel free to listen to whichever of these interests you, and feel free to skip whichever ones don't. Today we are going to be talking about and then playing Mothership, published by Tuesday Night Games, designed by Sean McCoy. It looks like the cover also was art done by Sean McCoy, which is really cool. Which
that's fun.
I'll let people who know more about the game talk about it a little bit more. But the immediate premise of it, in the future with a lot of space travel, it's a sci-fi setting that is inspired by stuff like Alien. So it's a sci-fi horror game, and it is the rules are listed as being old school revival or OSR, which I don't think we've really talked about, / old school Renaissance. I don't know that we've really talked about much. Have we talked about that before on the podcast?
I don't think so.
It's just it's a common term I see pop up, and honestly, I rarely actually remember what it means. But it's more about it's inspired by early tabletop role playing games. Is all it really means. Like games from the 70s,
Dungeons and Dragons,
especially D&D. Yes. What I noticed when I was looking through the rules kind of briefly is that it seems to have a lot of overlap with like Call of Cthulhu was what I was getting with, because it's the D100 system, and also the sanity and stuff like that is present there. Yeah. But in terms of actual, it came out I believe in 2018, which is why it counts as like OSR and not an actual old game. But yeah, so that's about, in terms of the actual history of the game, I'm not as familiar, but if anyone has thoughts on it they'd like to say and research they might have done.
I'm about to hand it over to Margot, but just as a reminder for anyone who may not have heard in previous episodes, we're referencing Call of Cthulhu and the mechanics of that, because we had a home game of Call of Cthulhu that Margot ran, which was really, really fun. So it will hopefully be kind of a return to the familiar in the mechanics, which I'm excited for.
You GM'd Heart the City Beneath, too. You got a little darkness to you.
Oh, yeah.
And
when the
and Jean-Mevou was scary as hell.
You're
With
fucked.
that dragon?
You're fucked in the head. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fucked in the head.
When the 21st Century Fox logo is dark and stormy, you know the movie's about to be a little fucking twisted.
We need to do the looks like a cinnamon roll but could actually kill you. Looks like they could kill you, and could that thing with us.
Let's just say our cover art for this arc is going to be freaking creepy.
I already made it.
Yeah, and it's freaking creepy.
Is it freaking creepy?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, yes, Mothership, one of the things that initially stood out to me about this system when I was looking it up online, besides the fact that I really enjoy horror and space horror, is first, the art. I think the art throughout the book, whether it be the player's guide, the warden's guide, or any of the unconfirmed contacts, which essentially serves as sort of a bestiary for different kind of creatures and monsters throughout the Mothership universe. The thing that stood out to me was its tone. The thing about Mothership, which also aligns with a lot of these films that it's inspired by. In fact, in the Warden Operator's Manual, it has recommended media for running the game or kind of stuff that can inspire the tone of the film, like we mentioned Alien. But there's also other things in there like Stalker, The Thing, Event Horizon, Blum, all of these other inspirations that kind of show that it's not just this source of like horror and terror, but also these ideas of capitalist horror and things like that. In fact, in the Warden's Guide, it has a whole breakdown of a tree of different tropes in horror, different kinds of stuff where you can pull inspiration from. And that's what really stuck out to me when I first read it. And I think the thing that also I love about it, and what we're going to go into shortly, is the system in terms of creating your character and how quick and easy it is to set up. In fact, in the Warden's Guide, one of the first things it says when you're like trying to set up the playthrough for your character is one of the steps, like, you know, inviting your friends to play. It says, do this before you're ready. Throughout both books, it constantly says, you can learn the rules quick. You don't have to read all of the stuff. Just jump into it and have fun. Your canon of how Mothership is your canon. That is how Mothership works for you. And I love that it repeats that over and over and over again.
I really like that do this before you're ready with a book that is this, like, hefty. Of like, you're never going to feel 100% solid on all of the rules. Just fucking play the game. You know, like, do it.
And like all of this, it's like there is a lot of, there's a lot of stuff in the books, but so much of that is just ease of use in terms of, like, for example, in the Warden's Guide, there's so many options for a lot of the modules that I read through are based on random chance. Like, for example, there's one really cool one where you roll a lot of D6s to set up, and based on what the D6s are, you arrange them, and that's your ship. And so, like, each of the 6, like, represents something. It's all about, like, doing it quick, doing it fast, and getting into the action as quickly as possible. And that's what I like about it. So that's what I want to do. I want to dive into this adventure with y'all and jump into this fun space world. I think for this
Wouldn't it be more of a galaxy or a universe instead of a world?
Space universe, yeah.
I was getting caught up on fun. I thought this was going to be spooky.
You can't have fun.
Well,
I love going to a haunted house.
Horror
If I'm
movies are
in
fun.
the alien world, nothing is funny.
Okay, maybe hold yourself to that. Maybe hold yourself to that, Tori, when you'll be the one cracking the most freaking jokes. Okay?
Margot, let's dive in. Let's get on the what's it called? The starting block for a swim.
USS Enterprise as we go into
This isn't super Star Trekky, is it?
No, it's not
Okay,
Star Trek.
because I'm like, Star Trek
I'd
doesn't
say
have that capitalistic.
Troika's a lot more Star Trek, yeah. This is a lot more like
Alien, Mickey.
Ray Bradbury.
What's the movie that just came out? Mickey 13, Mickey 11?
17?
Mickey 17.
What about-
17 feels like that.
What about Prey? That might be a good reference point, too. I feel like Prey is good.
Prey was a huge inspiration for like when I was thinking of
That's
stuff
what
with
I
this.
figured.
Okay, great. So let's just jump into this. One of the things I think is fun about this read episode in particular is I think we have we had a read episode where everyone has already set up their characters prior to
Probably not. Well, I mean,
us
technically people
reading.
make their
Kids on
characters
Bikes.
ahead of time, but like,
True.
We don't usually.
Kids on Bikes, I feel like.
Kids on Bikes, we were pretty built, and I would say Goblins, we were pretty built, but that was because we had already
True.
made them.
it's
Yeah.
never
Fair.
It's
True,
never
true,
as
true.
easily done.
The tools were
Yeah,
fantastic.
The app is incredible.
Well, yeah. Okay, great. So I think what we're going to do for the read episode today is I want to go through, I know we've all already made our characters, but I want to briefly touch on character creation and then a few of the essential rules that pin this game down. Let's jump into the Mothership character profile. The first thing I wanted to point out real quick that I think is pretty fun about the character sheet in Mothership, beside your player name, each player has a high score.
I saw that.
Now, this high score represents how many sessions your character has survived. So the more sessions there are, the higher your score will be. But usually that'll be quite low because Mothership is very deadly.
I love to die.
Now, after you figure out your personal details, you roll for your stats. And what I want to do for today is we're going to go through, because everyone has already set up their characters prior to this recording, and we'll talk about each character's stats, what kind of character.
And what I'll say on that is the reason that we were able to do that so easily, there is a really, really nice app. There is the Mothership Companion app that is honestly one of the smoothest character creation apps I've ever seen. Like better than, to be honest, D&D Beyond, which I've also used before.
I low-key hate most apps for games. I like this one.
Yes.
This one was pretty good.
Thank
Very
you to
simple,
Mothership
very
app
easy.
for sponsoring this episode. We appreciate your support.
They
Everybody
didn't
go
give
check
us
them
any
out.
money, we promise.
I feel like we should just start lying. It would be fun.
Yeah, but I don't want people to think that we are shills. I really like this
I would love
app,
to be
and I'm
sponsored by
saying that.
RPGs. I love RPGs.
I'm saying that even before they are sponsoring us.
I was mad y'all took out my fake Finch endorsement.
You said,
from
let me
Wonder
record
Home.
this and y'all put it wherever it fits. It didn't fit anywhere.
Oh, man. Okay. Fucking scathing.
That's fair.
All right, great. So let's go into our stats. For your first set of stats, you have 4 key stats: your strength, speed, intellect, and combat. The way you get that is you roll 2d10 plus 25. So let's talk about y'all. Y'all already rolled all of your stats. You got those.
Yeah, who wants to go first? I can do it. For me, I did eventually use the app, and it helped remind me of how it worked. When I first created my character, I just was looking at the rulebook, and I created it on pencil and paper. And then I put it in the app, which I appreciate that it was easy to do that as well. So I'm saying this, I don't remember exactly what I rolled, because I only had, like, the final stuff after I added my class abilities. But my strength is a 37, my speed is a 30, my intellect is a 55, and my combat is a 23. So my combat is my lowest, and with that intellect being so high, that comes from my class abilities as an android. So I thought it would be fun if my combat was really low, because I have programmed in me to not, like, harm people. And so I'm not very skilled at combat, especially against other humanoids.
So strength is going to be more like endurance rather than like strength fighting. Combat is different. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing that's easy is for combat. Like a lot of the stuff is super stripped down. Like if you look at like a lot of the monsters and their descriptions, it's their stats are super simple. Like combat is just a very catch-all for anything you want to do that incurs damage to something.
And I could see there being, correct me if I'm wrong, Margot, but even in a like combat situation, you might be using other stats for specific things. Like I'm thinking I'm really bad at hand-to-hand combat. I'm not going to be shooting things, but in the case where like I have to just pick someone up and like move them away, I am strong.
Okay.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that would be a different thing. And it's very flexible in terms of how you want to apply it.
Cool.
I'll go next because speaking of high scores, I'm curious who's got the highest number. Did you say your name?
I did not. I was gonna save the flavor stuff for the end.
For me, that was on the app. I think the name is the last part that they ask you to put in.
Yeah.
Good point. So the highest is 55. My strength is 30, speed 34, intellect 36, combat 48, because I am playing the Marine class. So I was very pleased to have that response.
The class I chose was Scientist, and my stats are strength 34, speed. And what I did, I don't know, when you roll the stats, do you do it, when you roll the stats not in the app, do you do it just one by one and you can't put the numbers where you want them, or are you able to put the highest number where it would make the most sense?
I'll be perfectly honest, I did that. And in the app, they do let you edit them.
Oh, okay, then I definitely didn't do that. So my stats are random, but then I added them where they mattered. So I kind of like that actually for my character. But I have a strength of 34, a speed of 41, an intellect of 49, and a combat of 42. which is interestingly high for that. But yeah, I got a +10 to my intellect because I was a scientist, and then I got to add 5 to a different skill, which I added to my speed.
You're kind of Spock coded.
Well,
You got,
that
like, a
might
class
that might
bonus?
come. There might be more to that actually when we
Great.
learn more about my character.
I have a class bonus to intellect, so that's why I'm so high. It does it automatically in the app, I think.
Great.
All right.
The next thing after core stats is we have your saves. These are for sanity, fear, and body. Essentially how you react to the horrors of the universe and everything affecting you.
I have a 29 insanity. That's my save, which just all of the stats are out of 100 for because we're rolling D100s and we're trying to
Oh my
roll.
God.
We're trying to roll above or we're trying to roll
under.
below. We're rolling
Trying
under.
to low under.
Yeah, like Call of Cthulhu. So we're trying to roll under. So the higher your number is, the better you are. Sanity is a 29. Body is a 19 for me, but then my fear save is an 81. Because as an android, I think I get a +60 to fear save because like I don't really feel fear.
Yep.
Well, shit. I'm glad you're on the team. This is making me think of Murderbot. I know Margot has read. My saves as a space marine is only a 21 for sanity, a 39 for fear, and a 33 for body. So I'm going to hope that the dice are in my favor.
For me, the saves are 46 in sanity, 19 in fear, and 23 in body. So I'm pretty sane, but the other things are pretty low. I'll also say, I'm looking at the classes. I do like the class selection. They do feel extremely Alien-inspired. I mean, obviously everything is Alien-inspired, but like those are the 4 archetypes of characters in Alien, honestly. You got the because especially the android part, that sticks out because that is a significant part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of classes, that's the next thing to do when setting up your character in this game. And there are 4 specific classes. You have your Marines, your androids, your scientists, and your teamsters. And I think everybody picked a different one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have a teamster on the team, ironically.
We miss you, Anish.
We're not unionized.
Yeah.
Teamsters is the most, that one's just kind of, the description is rough and tumble blue-collar workers, mechanics, engineers, miners, and pilots.
That was going to be my second one, and then I had a strong android vision at one point.
I picked scientist because I wanted to play freaking nerd.
So when we're going to talk about class, should we go over what our class's trauma response is and like the skills that we get with our class? Is that what we should talk about?
I think that's great. Yeah.
So as an android, which I am, the skills that I automatically get a trained skill in linguistics, mathematics, and computers, which trained skills are you get a +10 bonus. And then I had the option to either get 2 more trained skills or get 1 expert skill, which is a +15 bonus. And I decided to take the +15 bonus in psychology.
Whoa.
This might be a good time for me to explain my character conceit for what I did with the class. And actually, with that, the trauma response that androids have, which, Margot, do you want to talk a little bit about what trauma response means in the context of this game?
Yeah, of course. Trauma response in the rulebook, essentially, every class has a different way in which it responds and deals with stress and panic, which comes into play later in the game. But essentially, it's every time you fail a check, whether it be a save or just a stat check, you gain 1 stress. And at a random time, whenever the GM wants, they can make you roll against your stress with a D20. And if you roll below, if you roll below the total stress that you have, you panic. And panicking essentially adds either permanent debuffs, whether it be you have disadvantage when you roll to attack something, and it makes it more difficult. It adds fun complications to your character that makes acting more difficult.
Yeah.
And different things have, for example, an android isn't an organic creature, so it has different ways in which that manifests.
Which I wanted to touch on this because the android trauma response is hilarious to me. As a reminder, my fear save is 81. It's really hard for me to get scared, but my trauma response is that fear saves made by close, friendly players are at disadvantage. So if we're in a scary situation and y'all are close to me, like I think literally physically close, you are at disadvantage for fear because androids are in that uncanny valley, off-putting, scary. I do not help in scary situations, which goes into my character conceit and like why I picked psychology. I am calling it a 2CCC model, which is known as the Calming Computing Companion. And I wrote a little blurb for it, which is designed to be comfort androids to help workers out in space. The Calming Computing Companion approaches scary situations calmly and like talks down nervous workers. However, it did not work out like that because people freaking hate androids and they find them off-putting. But because I have that calming programming, it makes me and the other models like me good fodder for space expeditions. So I'm designed to be a like psychologist therapist out in space, but I am so off-putting that I just end up doing basic jobs.
Shall I?
Yes.
From the rulebook. Marines are handy in a fight, but whenever they panic, it may cause problems for the rest of the crew. Marine, whenever you panic, every close, friendly player must make a fear save.
Nice. Oh, that makes sense, because you're so tough.
Yeah.
Then when you're scared,
Yeah,
My fear's a 39.
You don't want a big burly man with a gun kind of freaking out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Right
happened in
next to you.
Speed.
What
I
is
watched
that?
Speed last night.
Okay. I was like, are we back to stats?
So true. So what was that your trauma response? And then what are your skills?
Military training, athletics. I get 1 expert skill or 2 trained skills. So I'll have to take a peek. Did you already choose yours?
I just picked the one trained skill in psychology for mine.
The app like automatically picks some for me.
Yeah,
same.
if you click through them, it'll automatically pick the one you get, and then they'll give you, you could only bubble in, like, what is available to you, which is nice.
Okay. So my skills are plus 10 to athletics, plus 15 to firearms, and plus 10 to military training.
Nice.
Hut hut.
Great.
Hut hut.
And Jess?
For me, my trauma response for scientists is whenever you fail a sanity save, all close friendly players gain 1 stress, which I feel makes sense as for a scientist, because if the scientist doesn't know what the fuck's going on, everyone's going to start freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
And what else did we list? We listed our skills. So yeah, I approached this character creation process as like low effort as possible. So I was kind of making as like generic a scientist as I could. I do have one conceit in my mind, but it doesn't have to do with really this part. I'll go into it later. But I wanted to just kind of make it see what it looked like when it went as simple as possible. Not because I was doing it really quickly or anything.
It's nice that they...
English, please.
It's nice that they have those tools where you can
Yes.
just make a character really fast.
The problem with that now, though, is that I'm realizing I feel your character and I will have a lot of overlap in our skills, Emma, because, you know, our stats... Not that it matters. It's a fucking game about getting killed. But my stats were kind of similar to yours a little bit, and then also my skills are... I have plus 10 in computers, plus 20 in hyperspace, plus 10 in mathematics, and plus 15 in physics. So I think I'm just kind of I'm a smart guy. Okay, smart guy, why don't you take a crack at it?
Well, I think the fun thing about the androids with that is I'm only really trained in linguistics and psychology. The computers and the mathematics, I think, are just because I am a computer.
Yeah.
So it's not like I actually feel more... I say feel. I'm an android. But it's not like I feel more confident in computers and mathematics than you. I am a linguistic psychology being. But I could probably, like, plug in and compute with a computer, you know?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and since we're talking about skills, touching on that real quick, in the character sheet, there are also skills you can choose based on your class. There are trained skills, which give you a plus 10 bonus to whatever stat you're rolling for. Expert skills, which are a plus 15 bonus, and master skills, which are a plus 20 bonus. However, what's interesting about it is it narrows down more and more. Yes. So it's not like in other systems, for example, Pathfinder, where as you're trained, expert, and proficient, and like mastered at a skill, it's the same exact skill. If it's athletics, for example, you get a like plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 as you go up. With this, trained skills, very broad. For example, computers. Computers covers a lot of things. There's a lot of different things you can do for computers. But as you go to the expert skill, you get to hacking. Hacking's a little bit more specific. And then as you go even further, you get to artificial intelligence. So that's even more narrowed in. So as your skill, the bonus goes up and up and up, it gets a lot more narrow in terms of the way you can use it. Okay, yeah, so we've gone over skills, we've gone over trauma responses. The last thing we'll talk about is health, stress, and wounds. So first, to roll your health, you're going to roll a 1d10 plus 10 to find your health. What is everybody's health here?
My health is, it says 19.
Great.
I think I might get some of that for, no, I just have a 19. It just rolled well.
My health is 13, which seems low, but again,
You
I
just
use
rolled
this like
that,
app.
I think. I also used the app for this portion. I just rolled a 9 and you rolled a 3. So
That
loser.
sucks. I know.
Loser.
Well, the other thing is, like, in Marine, it says I get a plus 20 fear save, which would have meant that I rolled like a 19 and then got plus. That sucks. All right, well. Don't get too attached to my character.
The saves are 2d10 plus 10. Yeah, you rolled pretty bad. Loser. Sorry.
My health. Don't worry. My health's 11.
Ha, loser.
Great. Yeah. And right next to health, you also have wounds. Everyone starts with a maximum of 2 wounds. However, I think, Emma, because you're an android, you get plus 1 max wounds.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. The next thing we're going to talk about is stress.
Hold on. Because looking at this document, Marines get plus 1 max wound. Never mind.
So you have 3 max wounds.
Never mind. I was looking at stress.
You were like, and I only have 2. Yeah.
Yes, but I have 2 stress. I do have 3 max wounds. Yes, and I am seeing
Yeah. You also. Yeah. So both Tori and
Technology
Emma
prevails.
have 3
You thought
max
that
wounds.
the app
Beautiful.
was pranking you and it was fine.
I wanted to up my stats.
Yeah, so we have health, we have wounds, and the last thing is stress. Everyone starts at a minimum of 2 stress. There are different things for example, if you panic, sometimes the minimum can go up. But the fun thing about stress is every time you fail a roll, no matter what, you gain 1 stress. And unlike something like Heart, the City Beneath, whenever you gain stress, you roll against it. This time, it just gathers in the background, and at some point, I might ask for you to do a panic roll. Panic rolls, like we talked before, you roll a d20, and you're trying to roll above your current stress level. If you roll below your stress level, you panic, and we'll go into that a little bit later. Another fun thing about stress, touching on this real quick, the way you level up or gain stats is through your stress. So the higher your stress is at the end of a session, the more points you're able to allocate toward improving your character, which I think is a very fun way of encouraging that risk-reward mechanic.
Can I note something fun?
Mm-hmm.
The trauma responses, we went over the 3 of ours, and they were all bad things, right? It was like all when something happens to us, other people suffer. We don't have a Teamster on the team. The Teamster's the only one that has a good trauma response. Theirs is once per session, you can take advantage on a panic check. So alien, right? Like oh my gosh, what's the main character?
Ellen Ripley?
Yeah.
Ripley,
like, just keeping a calm head.
God, I love Ripley.
I think I'm going to cosplay her someday.
Go ahead.
why does are y'all seeing your current stress is also 2, not just your maximum?
Yes.
That's your minimum stress is 2. You start at 2.
So we're starting at 2, and then we'll slowly build it up.
There's no
but
maximum?
it can never go below 2.
Now
There's
I
no
understand.
maximum.
Thank you. Okay.
There's no maximum.
Why not
but
just start at 0?
Theoretically,
Because we're stressed. It's a stressful life.
yeah, it's a stressful life.
Right.
And so there is no maximum
You're like, this
stress.
app's trying to kill me.
There is no maximum stress, but the maximum you can roll on a d20 is a 20. So
Okay.
if you have more than 20 stress, you're kind of
toast.
shit out of luck.
You're freaked.
Next thing we'll talk about in the steps of setting up your character that I think is very fun. You roll your loadout, trinket, and patch. We don't need to go super in depth on this. For example, each class has a different loadout you can get. These are things like your clothes, weapons, essentially all that stuff. Has everybody rolled their loadout for their class? Excellent. Great. We don't really have to go into that whole thing. A lot of it is just you have your standard crew attire, weapon, grenade, that kind of stuff. What I think is really fun, though, is it also you roll for a trinket and a patch. Your trinket is just something small that is valuable or important to your character. It doesn't really have any gameplay significance. And then you have your patch, which is on your outfit, you have a little patch that says some fun phrase. This also doesn't really have gameplay significance, but it's a fun little flavor text that I think is quite fun. Like some of them are like welcome to the danger zone.
Yeah.
Like super silly, very fun, like giving that like pulpy 80s vibe.
Which for
that I like.
homies in the app, you have to click on trinket or patch to see what yours was. Do we want to share what ours were?
Yeah, we can go over that.
My trinket is a pressed alien flower, which is a common item. I have a pressed flower. And then my patch says, be sure, double tap.
Nice.
I just wanted to note that in the loadout I rolled, I get a dog, which is unexpected.
What?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wait, hold on. That is sick.
Does anyone have any hard lines about killing animals? I'm fine with killing animals. I just want to get... not in real life. I'm
fine with it.
I'm fine with animals in fiction dying, but knowing that you have a dog, I feel like that's something that we should touch on before
This
we
ain't
get
gummy
rolling.
worm.
This
Her
ain't gummy
tail's
worm.
Bro,
not
we were
growing
eating
back.
gummy worm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get, I start with fatigues, a shotgun, a dog, a leash, and a tennis ball. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, it's kind of
Get a
fun.
tennis ball for the dog.
That's
one of my
awesome.
loadouts.
Like a canine unit type deal.
Must be. My trinket is snake whiskey. So I'm considering naming my dog Bowie, like a boa constrictor, or maybe Teeny.
David
I'm not
Bowie.
sure yet.
I love Bowie.
Okay, Bowie
Bowie
the
is
dog.
very fun.
She's going to be a lady dog. And my patch, which I just randomly rolled, is poker hand, dead man's hand. And it says aces full of eights. So it sounds like it's just like a...
Is your character a dude?
Yes.
So you're kind of a girl dad?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
With the whiskey dependency.
Wow.
Wouldn't know anybody
I
like
thought
that.
about calling her Jackie Daniels, but I thought the
That's
snake
cute.
The dog?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's
I like
cute.
Bowie.
Bowie's very
I
cute.
like to think you listen to David Bowie too.
Love it. The what do you say? What was that big movie? Guardians
Labyrinth?
of the Galaxy, like headphones
Yeah.
over type thing like that.
Yeah.
And I'm picturing her as like a German shepherd that's just like green and has two antennas or something. But other than that, it looks just like a
Have
German
you seen the
shepherd.
dog from Star Trek? I'm sending it to you.
Nope.
The unicorn one?
Yeah.
This is ground control.
Hey.
My character, my equipment is I have a cybernetic diagnostic scanner, which allows the user to scan androids and other cybernetic organisms in order to diagnose any physical or mental issues they may be having, often distrusted by androids. So that's kind of funny if you're the fucking psychologist and I'm here like, let me double check that. Let me double check the stats. Let me double check the facts.
If you have a question for me, you can ask.
Because the facts don't care about your feelings. Fuck, what if I played a Ben Shapiro type?
You should do it, because then you
We'll
could
kill
die.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing. That's actually kind of might be... So the other stuff, a trinket I have is a coffee cup chipped, reads, happiness is mandatory,
Love it.
all caps.
Nice.
And my patch is a pinup model writing a missile, which...
Nice.
The one thing that I did want know about my character going into this was I told you all that my next character was going to be a gay guy, like a gay man. So I think,
Ben Shapiro.
yeah, exactly. I think that this is. I think that it's like a hot, sexy lady pinup model, and it's to hide. Like it's. I think I'm. You
You're
know.
closeted?
or just in denial, I guess. I think that I'm really trying to compensate. Yeah, closet. I'm trying to make sure you guys. I think I'm a gay guy.
I only shared. Oh, sorry. Continue.
But yeah, I'm trying to overcompensate. Be like, yeah, look at this fucking hot babe I have on my patch. Sorry.
I realized while both of you were talking, I only talked about my trinket and my patch.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also have
Talk about it
a
later.
vac suit, which allows me to go, like, I think in space. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's got
Very fun.
oxygen supply for 12 hours, short range comms, headlamp, radiation shielding. I think it's just like a spacesuit. I have infrared goggles and a Mylar blanket, which I think is cute, like a trauma
The
blanket.
tinfoil type
Yeah,
thing.
which I like to think that is intended for others' use, since I'm that psychologist vibe of like, do you need this? And it's terrifying.
Well, I think the last part is just the like name, pronouns, etc.
Yeah, we already talked about everyone's name and pronouns,
I don't think
high
we did.
score.
We didn't talk about our
We were
names
saving
yet.
it for the end.
Oh,
We can finally
then yeah.
put a bow on
The
it.
last step, funnily enough, with Mothership, the final step is actually naming your character, pronouns, and giving them a high score.
The
Yay.
neat part with the app too is they give you pre-selected like avatars to pick from, like pictures, so that can kind of give you like a nice jumping off point too. It looks like you could customize it if you pay for the like full
Yeah.
version.
Which I just chose the blank one because I know what she looks like, and I'm making it in Pick Crew.
Hey, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
If it's one that we can use too, send it. Unless it's just
But yeah,
like robots.
let's talk about everybody's name,
Yeah.
pronouns, and high score for everybody 0 because it's obsession first.
So I mentioned before that I'm that CCC model. We're not in production anymore. There are only, I think, like 2 rounds of the CCC models. And I don't go by that, though. I think that there was a crew member in my past who nicknamed me Tracy. Like Trace C. Like 3 C's.
That's good.
And I like to think that this person was either a Marine or a Teamster. I think that they are dead now. And I think that that's where my patch is from. The Be Sure double tap.
Oh,
Aw.
Because I don't think, I'm not a combat heavy person. So I think that comes from someone who was combat heavy.
Would you spell it just for Instagram purposes?
Tracy is just Tracy. Like the
Alright.
nickname came from the like 3C,
Got
but
it.
I just go by Tracy.
Cool.
And pronouns are she, her. Programmed for she, her.
Love it. And I just wanted to note Emma's description of the, say it again,
Oh gosh, I wrote it down.
companion,
I'm the calming computing companion.
calming computing companion. Emma just made up. I thought it was like in the book as like a description or something, but I just thought that was so clever.
I knew that I wanted to be Tracy. And I was like, I need 3 C's.
Reverse engineer it.
Yes.
cute.
So
Scratch that, reverse it.
Reverse.
the Marine in this space crew is named Colt Hudson. He, him. Anything else?
I mean, if you want to talk about the character at all, you can. I think just about.
Yeah, I gave a little flavor for mine, but you've got a dog.
Yeah, so I've got my dog
and
Bowie.
alcohol.
And yeah,
problem.
I think I want to, it's that kind of like, I don't know, I think about the post-apocalyptic, like zombie type where it's like, oh, we only have so much alcohol left, but ever so often you got to just like drink the, grisling, horrifying details of the day. So I think during the day, he's very like alert. He probably keeps to himself and his dog, but then at night, he's like not as reliable because he's got his snake whiskey and has to kind of just like numb the terrors.
Ooh.
And I think Bowie gets a little sip here and there. She a good dog.
Bad for the dog.
Why is her tail wagging, man?
How old is Bowie?
I'm gonna go like definitely an adult. So I don't know, middle-aged.
Cool.
I also am gonna be, I think, let's go like 30 or so. Like I'm not
Yeah.
quite that like old grizzled like, war stories type guy. I'm pretty like hush hush about why I joined and where I came from before.
Did you choose a profile from the thing, or?
I did.
Yeah, can you describe what you look like? I forgot to describe what I look like.
So I have
Chiseled jaw.
fatigues on. in our Zoom recording, which if we post videos on Instagram, I'm sure we will. I've got like some scarring here and there, bandaged up. I think he keeps it clean shaven because that's something that he like, he makes his bed in the morning. He shaves. He's like that clean cut Marine type. Got my hat and I've got my poker patch, and always like uniform is like steamed and seamless. Got a thick brow perhaps, and lots of just like scars and pox over the years.
Yeah. I didn't say what I look like. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go over what I look like, Jess?
Go ahead.
Tracy this is like alien androids, so very, very human looking. Even like Aliens android, where you can't really
Indistinguishable.
tell until you're told. But like blunt, short bob, that's
Nice.
just the middle part, like dark brown, and then slightly wide set eyes.
Cool.
And just like a vacant, pleasant expression all the time. That's supposed to be trust-inducing.
Like Lisa Basil from Ace Attorney?
No bangs.
No bangs? Okay.
No bangs.
Who's that one from
I'm gonna
Pulp
send.
Fiction?
I'm gonna send the picture that I did on Pick Crew.
Uma Thurman? Is that her?
Kind of Uma Thurman.
Yep. Oh, Numa, yeah.
That's her. I just sent it in the chat.
Ooh, very cool.
Okay, so the only thing I knew about my character going in, besides that he was a gay man, was... Or the only thing I knew about the name was that I wanted... they do have the name generator, so I tried to generate a couple names, but I wanted the name Jonathan. Was the first name that I wanted. I don't know why I wanted that. But then I was thinking about last names, and I kind of shuffled through some. And then the name I landed on, which I also kind of... was Carpenter, which I kind of also liked in the context of, I don't know, like Sabrina Carpenter. Maybe he's like he likes that kind of music. But then I landed on the name Carpenter, and then I realized, because I'd chosen the name Jonathan, that I did just name my character Jonathan Carpenter, like John Carpenter, like the director of The Thing, and Escape from New York, et cetera, which I thought was actually fitting to sort of pay an homage to that genre, because this type of genre is very The Thing adjacent. So I just kind of kept it. So the character's name is Jonathan Carpenter, and like I said, I think he's kind of just closeted, repressed, in denial, whatever you want to say. But I think that I like the idea of him being a Ben Shapiro type, because when I first was thinking about this scientist, I was like, what can I bring to it that's kind of unique? I was like, what if I made him kind of like an Elon bro, like a dumb Elon bro? But I think that this is kind of adjacent to that, like a person who is kind of like I think that I do have technical knowledge, but I think I'm just really annoying about it, and we'll see if this character is fucking insufferable, and maybe I'll change. And the picture that I chose was I just looked at what looked like the gayest guy, so that's what I got.
Love it.
There's not any formal rules for character ties, right?
I don't think so.
No, the rule book does not have really anything for character ties. I think because a lot of the characters are so expendable.
Yeah.
But that's also something we can totally add if you want.
I don't want to.
I thought that there were some items that we had that indicated like how we feel about each other already. Like the fact that Jess, your character has.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to do it. Like if Jess, for example, your character has the scanner that you can use to scan androids, maybe you don't have a good relationship with any kind of android. But also, I feel like with the situation you find yourself in, it's kind of the first time you're all meeting each other.
What were you going to say, Emma?
That.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely think that informs what the dynamics might look like.
Yeah. I think that Tracy is very focused on keeping the peace, and like she knows that she is off-putting but is programmed to resist that and like try to get people to like her so she can keep everyone calm.
Great. Now that we've set up our characters, I want to talk briefly about a few of the rules. These are all pretty simple, and if you have played RPGs before, should be quite familiar. For all of the checks, whether it be stat check, skill check, anything like that.
That's like your catchphrase.
Okay.
We've all got our things.
You have to be a hater.
We've all got
My
our things.
catchphrase is that one tweet.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So we've talked about this before in other RPGs. The what you use for all of your skill checks in this is a D100. This is what you're going to use for your skill checks and saves. And for every check, roll a D100. Your goal is to roll below your stat. If you roll below your stat, you succeed. If you don't, you fail. Easy as that.
And you take a
However,
stress when you fail.
Yes. For stress, at any time, I can call, or the GM can call, the warden, specifically in this, can call for you to roll against your stress. Stress is the one thing you do not roll a D100 for. To roll against your stress, you roll a D20. However, unlike your skill and stat checks, you want to roll above your current stress. If you roll above your current stress, you're fine, easy peasy, you don't panic. But if you roll below your current stress, that is a panic. The fun thing about panic checks is whatever number you fail on, for example, if you have 10 stress and you roll a 5, you go to the panic table and you take whatever is listed as 5, the effect. So the more stress you have, the higher you're able to roll on the panic table. It's not like you roll and you fail and then you roll for the effect. Whatever number you fail with is the effect. For example, the first effect on the panic table, if you roll a 1 and you fail with 1, adrenaline rush. You get advantage on all rolls for 2d10 minutes. This is great. If you have 20 stress or above 20 stress and you roll a 20, your character just straight up dies. So the higher your stress is and the higher you're able to roll on the panic table, the worse the effects are. I think that's a pretty fun way to do it. We were talking about Call of Cthulhu earlier. With Call of Cthulhu, you roll against your sanity, and if you fail a sanity check, you also roll on the sanity table. With this, it's just all in one. There's no extra rolling. Yeah, it's all in a bundle. There's no extra rolling, no extra confusion in terms of how it works. Very easy to understand. You also get conditions with some of the panic effects. These are lasting effects on your character. Great. That's stress and all of that stuff. The last thing I'm going to say real quick in terms of rolling checks, critical successes and failures. To have a critical success or a critical failure, you have to roll doubles. So that'd be like a 55, a 66. So essentially, very easy to get a critical success, very easy to get a critical failure.
Because there's multiple options.
Because there's so many options.
You have a
critical
10%
failure is also
chance of getting a critical at all, right?
Right. 10% chance of getting critical. Yeah. And a 0-0 is always a critical success, and a 99 is always a critical failure.
So slightly higher than that then. Crazy.
Yeah. Which is very fun. Emma, you had you have a fear save of 80?
81, I think.
81. Yeah. So if you roll a 77, you critically succeed on that fear check. But if you roll an 88, you critically fail. So
that's crazy.
Very easy to understand
fun,
what, very fun, very easy to understand what a critical fail or what a critical success is. I think that's one of the things I like about the dice rolling system in this is it takes out a lot of the fluff and makes it very clear when you succeed, when you fail, and all of that stuff in between.
Question. Meets it, beats it, if you roll your stat number, it is a success?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It is your stat or below.
I'm asking because my intellect is a 55. So I was like, if I hit that, it would be a critical success. But I wanted to check because important dichotomy there.
Yep. Tori?
So, question. Does the severity of difference between what you need to be under and what you roll get worse? Nope. It's either a success or a fail or a critical.
It's either
way.
Success or fail, critical success, critical fail.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah. It sounded like the only thing where the range of numbers matters are those stress panic rolls.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that affects it is stress rolls because what you roll on the D20 is what you get on the panic table.
Which I think is a difference from Call of Cthulhu you might be thinking of.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's all in one, and the same with Heart. With Heart, it's you rolled against your stress, and then you also rolled on the table, which I love. I really liked Heart, but I do think that kind of slowed it down. With this, it's all in one, super quick and nitty gritty.
I think that Jess was referring to in Call of Cthulhu, it matters if you roll really, really high above your
With Call of Cthulhu, there's hard success. Yeah, no. I think the way the critical success works makes it a lot It's very clear, easy to understand. Less math for those who don't like math. And then the last thing, the last thing I wanted to touch about, we were talking about stress. I forgot to mention this. There are ways to relieve stress. Like we said, some of the stuff on the panic table, actually, if you roll a 1, you lose stress. That's the only one. The other ways to get rid of stress is by resting, which I don't think we'll engage with, but in between, like if you're doing multiple sessions, you can have like resting where your characters rest in a safe space. To use this, you make a rest save using your worst save. So whatever your lowest save is, you roll to see if you're below it. If you're below it, you're able to lose some stress, but if you roll above it, you gain stress. So like everything, it's a gamble. So we've already talked about skills. We've talked about all the dice rolls. The last thing I want to talk about with skills real quick, there are ways to gain more skills. However, these take a lot of in-game time, like months.
Yeah.
Sometimes this can be like you take a shore leave for 6 months and you're able to gain a skill, but it takes a long time. And it's also very expensive to gain skills, except for military skills. There is military training. This is free. However, you need to sign a 6-year contract to a local colonial marine regiment, and then you roll to see how your military training goes. And this is the part I really love. If you succeed on the roll, you gain military training, athletics, and 2 gain skills. You also gain 10 in combat and reduce another stat by 10. And you gain the Marine's trauma response. So basically, you're able to kind of beef your character up a little bit. However, if you roll a critical failure when you're trying to get military training, you die.
Which is so funny.
So your character can die in character creation, which I think is very interesting.
I love that, like Traveler.
Yeah. So we've talked about skill training. Last thing I want to talk about real briefly is combat. To go over combat's pretty loose in terms of, very theater of the mind. There is turn orders, but it can also be like, it doesn't have to be a strict turn order. So like, for example, during violent confrontation, time is split into roughly 10-second intervals called rounds. Everything within a round happens basically at the same time. So I can describe a situation, what's likely to happen if you don't do anything, and then everyone can say what they want to do. Feel free to ask questions. We'll figure out all of that stuff.
Feels similar to like Powered by the Apocalypse systems, where you want everyone to take a turn, but it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, it's very loose. You don't have. There's not like a specific turn order. The only thing that affects it is if you're ambushed, and like there's a chance you can be ambushed or surprised. And if this happens, what you do is you roll a fear save. So like, big monster jumps out at you, you roll a fear save. If you fail the fear save, you aren't able to do anything for a round, and it just attacks you and you can't respond. But if you succeed, combat goes on as normal.
What about a fierce save?
Yeah.
No such thing.
Yeah. There's also, we can do strict turn order, but it's not required. It says it's specifically in the rulebook, strict turn order, not required for this. Next thing I wanted to say in terms of combat, what you can do, basically anything you can think of in terms of like attacking things, bandaging people, checking vital signs, all of that stuff we've discussed and that you could normally do in RPG combat. But I want to discuss another thing you can do, which you can move within range of a creature. And there are 4 different spaces in combat. The way it's described in the book, very briefly: adjacent, it can touch you; close range, it can get to you; long range, you can shoot it; and extreme range, you can hear it scream. So every round of combat, you can move one tier in the range.
That makes sense.
Yeah. One closer or one further.
And that goes into my trauma response. If you can get to me in a round, that means that you've got that disadvantage to fear checks or fear saves.
Perfect. And then for attacks, very simple. You make a combat check. If successful, roll your weapon's damage and subtract it from the enemy's health. If you fail, situation gets worse, you gain a stress. For damage, if you take damage, retract it from your health. If your health gains 0, you gain a wound on the wounds table. And then you reset your health to the maximum and subtract any carryover damage. So like if you take, for example, Tori, you said you have 13 health. If you take 30 damage, you gain like 3 wounds. So it
Yeah.
What?
You'd
2
gain
wounds.
2 wounds and
2
be
wounds.
down to 3 health. Or
Yeah.
something
If I
like that. Or
took
not
30
down to 3.
damage?
If you took 30 damage, you'd take 2 wounds, and then you'd be down to what? There'd be 4 left over, so you'd be down to 9 health. So
9 health, yeah.
30
What?
minus
So-
30. If you take a lot of damage, you go all the way to 0, take a wound, go all the way to 0 again, take another wound, and then keep taking damage.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, if you take 14 damage, you gain a wound and you go to 12 health.
So it's like
And
it's
the
like
way-
it's basically like you have 26 health, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
No.
This freaking game. Why? I just don't
It's not.
understand.
It's not like you absorb all of it. It's like you
Okay.
are going to take all of the damage.
I
It's
think a
gonna
better way to
keep
think about it, Tori,
coming.
is you have 13 health until you take a wound. If you take 13 damage, you gain a wound. If you take 13 more damage, you gain another wound. If you take 13 more damage, you gain another wound. However, when you reach your max wounds, so in your case, when you take 39 damage total or more, you have to make a death save. For death saves, you roll a d10, and based on what you roll on the d10, you have different effects. But pretty much, if you're on a death save, you're screwed. The best you can hope for is you're unconscious, which is if you roll a 0. If you roll a 5 to 9, you just straight up die. Next thing is armor points. Characters ignore damage less than their armor points. I think you might have armor. Maybe some of you have armor from your loadout. There's also cover. Cover gains armor points as well. We talked about space, survival, all of these. Further in the book, it talks about survival, like different environments you can go into. I don't think we really need to talk about that. There's stuff for like radiation damage, medical care in terms of recovering health, and then spaces you can go in the game, NPCs. Great. And I think that's everything. Yeah. So yeah, that covers combat, how environments interact with your character, which I don't think we need to delve too deep into for this. But there is explicitly a whole page written by Sean McCoy, the creator. It's like, so this is me, Sean McCoy, the creator of Mothership, talking directly to you, the warden, right now. I want to talk to you about safety in gaming for a second. We've covered this in a lot of the different systems we've talked about, the safety rules. And the thing I like about this is he specifically like delves into it very hard in terms of like safety in gaming is about hospitality. It's about the grace I extend to you and expected of you. You know, it's very good and like lines it out. And also in the end of the warden's manual, there is a terms of use, like contract to sign, which is very fun. And it talks about like, there's no official way to play. The rules are easy. Treat every monster like it's a boss monster. Survive, solve, or save. Think of every encounter as a completely unique problem. When in doubt, just give the players the odds. Let your players know what is at stake. Prioritize the safety and fun of your players. Don't worry about scaring people. And only roll when absolutely necessary. Which I think is great and a very fun way to set it up and like really emphasize the fact of gaming is about having fun and enjoying time with your friends. And I just wanted to touch on that real quick. I think it's fun that like the in-universe kind of contract signing. But that should cover everything we need for starting the game. Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
I'm excited. I love to be scared.
Great.
Basically, the game's full of a lot of tables. There's tons and tons of tables, which is great for players and great for GMs.
Tons of tables. It seems like the rolling is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's like everything is super straightforward and simple. And you can dive deeper into the stuff. But realistically, the only thing like you as players need to care about is your character sheet. And that's it. And then, you know, how the D100 works and like panic table. But like all
Yep.
super simple.
It's
There's
all
more you can delve
reference
into.
stuff later. You know, like we'll reference the tables when we need to.
Right.
Speaking of tables, should we see you at a
Yeah.
different side of the table, listeners?
Thanks
Are we
so
ready
much for
to
listening.
Have a play, shall we?
Let's do it.
We will see you at a different side of the... Thank you for listening to this episode of Read Play Game, the Read episode, and we're going to play with the characters now. We're going to do a little one-shot with them, and
Let's
so we will
play in
see
the
you
space.
playing... Oh, yes! We're going to space to play. McDonald's Play Space, and we are
No.
going to...
What happened to those? COVID?
Woke.
Yeah.
We'll see you on a
Got
different
pink
side
eye
of
from one of those. All right. Sorry. Bye.
the different side of the
Bye.
Love having a cute little animal without any of the stress or violence. So do we. That's why this episode was sponsored by Finch, the self-care app. You take care of a little baby bird that helps you take care of yourself. You can decorate your house, even put on clothes, and connect with your friends. Thank you to Finch for sponsoring this episode of Wander Home, Read Play Game. We'll have a Finch decorated table near you. Okay, so we have it if we want it. Let's cut to